So for the first time in franchise history, the Washington Nationals are heading to their first ever World Series. The last time a Washington team made the World Series was back in 1933, and they were known as the Washington Senators back then. So this is a great story. This is one of the best stories in sports right now. It's a huge deal that this team has made it this far. They were close to elimination 2 different times. In the wildcard game against the Brewers, they were down 3-1 in the 8th inning. Josh Hader coming in for the Brew Crew, all-star closer. It looked like they were done. Hader unraveled, walked 2 straight guys. Zimmerman hit a single to center field, loaded the bases. Juan Soto ripped a single to right field. Trent Grisham misplayed it. 3-run score. They win 4-3. They haven't looked back since. This team has been rolling ever since that moment. They go into NLDS against a Dodgers team who is one of the biggest favorites in the major leagues this year to win the World Series. They take them 5 games. They come back from down 2 runs in Game 5 on the road in LA. They get to Clayton Kershaw in the 8th inning. They hit back-to-back solo bombs. Rendon, Soto tie the game. Go to extra innings. Get to Joe Kelly. He walks a couple guys. They string together some hits. 36-year-old MLB journeyman Howie Kendrick steps up, hits a grand slam, sends the Nats to NLCS, knocks out the Dodgers in the first round. Big upset right there. They advance to the NLCS against the Cardinals, shut them down on all cylinders, sweep them in 4 games, and now they're heading to their first World Series. So there's a lot of different factors that come into play and why this team is in this position right now. First off, they're resilient. They are so resilient. Like, they faced elimination 2 different times against the Dodgers and the Brewers in the wild card game. They never lost faith in themselves. They knew they had something special. They had something special that deserved to get farther in this postseason, and it was their year to finally get past the division series, because this franchise has never gotten past division series since they became the Nationals in 2005 when they moved from Montreal. So resiliency, huge part of this team. Their pitching is being absolutely lights out. Their trio of Strasburg, Scherzer, and Sanchez has been absolutely unreal this entire postseason. Sanchez has a 0.71 ERA in the postseason. He wasn't typically that great during the regular season with about a 3.75 ERA, but he's been lights out in these playoffs, and throughout his playoff career, he's always been quite good. Scherzer and Strasburg, 2 Cy Young Award winners in themselves right there, and they both have sub-2 ERAs in the postseason, and they have just been absolutely unreal for Dave Martinez's squad. They've put forward great performances every time they step on the mound. They've given Martinez longevity. All 3 of these starters going 6 or 7 innings every start they've made, and it's been in the St. Louis series. They just absolutely shut them down. In fairness, the Cards' bats were cold, but when you're facing guys like Sanchez, Strasburg, Sanchez, Scherzer, guys who are arguably 3 of the best pitchers in the game right now, especially when it comes to postseason baseball, they made it really hard for them. So the pitching being unreal. Their bullpen, not so good. Their bullpen has about a 4.25 ERA in the postseason, but because these starters have given them so much longevity, their bullpen hasn't mattered so much. But the hope is that in the World Series, they'll be a little bit better, and they'll give Martinez a little bit more consistency when they need it most against a team like the Astros or the Yankees. Timely hitting. This team has had 3 or 4 guys who have been huge for this team at the plate. Most notably, Howie Kendrick. He wins the NLCS MVP. He's huge in the NLDS, hitting a grand slam off Joe Kelly to let them advance to the NLCS. In the NLCS, he ripped 3 doubles in Game 3, drove in 3 runs. Throughout the whole postseason, he's driven in 9 RBIs. So that's a franchise single-season record for the Nats. And he's being rewarded with that by winning the MVP in the National League Championship Series. At 36 years old, he's played 4 different teams, had a breakout year for the Nats, hitting close to 340 in 121 games. He's just been an absolute spark plug in their lineup, and a huge reason they're in this position right now, heading to their first ever World Series. Next up, Anthony Rendon has been unreal all year for them, and he's continued that trend in the postseason, hitting close to 400. Playing great defense and coming through with clutch hits whenever Washington needs them. Ryan Zimmerman is the one player on this roster who has been with the Nats since this franchise became the Washington Nationals, since in 2005. He was the first player they ever drafted since moving from Montreal to Washington that year, and he's been through all the highs, all the lows, the failures, the losing seasons, which there was a lot of back then, and he's put his heart, soul, his blood, his sweat, his tears into this organization, and it's so good to see it pay off for him and to finally get him to a World Series and a chance to win a title after putting 14 years of his career into this city and into contributing himself every single day he steps on the field for this franchise. So that's exciting. I know his teammates are so excited to see him in this position as well because he's just being the heart and soul of this franchise and the ultimate leader in that clubhouse every single day. Trey Turner, their franchise shortstop, has been really good defensively. He's strung together some pretty clutch hits for them. And then you can't forget youngsters like Juan Soto and Victor Robles. Juan Soto obviously hit that game-tying home run in Game 5 of the NLDS against the Dodgers. Hit some other clutch hits in the postseason, that single into right field in the wild card game. And then Victor Robles, who just returned from an injury in that Dodgers series, hasn't had a chance to do too much yet, but he did hit a pretty big home run in that Cardinal series. So it's been on all cylinders. This team is playing so well. Their bullpen has been the only downside. Their starting rotation has been great. Corbin has been used more out of the bullpen, but he hasn't been too good. But in a World Series with 7 games, the hope is that he can be used as a 3rd or 4th game starter and get back to himself and pitch like we saw him pitch in the regular season. This team they're riding a high right now, okay? So I personally don't believe it matters who they face in the World Series. They're not intimidated by anyone. Whether it's the Astros or the high-flying Yankees who swing the bats extremely well, they're gonna compete. I'm not going to go ahead and say they're going to win a World Series, but they're going to give it their best shot, and they are on fire right now, and they are a confident bunch, a team that has defied all the odds this season, and anything is possible. They could take the Astros or the Yankees 7 games, or they could even take them 5 or 6 games. We don't know, but it's looking like it probably could be the Astros they face, so they'll be facing a very good rotation, and it'll be a very good pitching matchup every single game in that series with Cy Young Award winners going at each other, especially with Verlander and Scherzer, 2 ex-teammates. So if it's the Astros, great. If it's the Yankees, big bats as well there. But this pitching rotation has no problem shutting those guys down. So it's going to be exciting to see who they face, but it doesn't matter who it is. They're not going to be intimidated.